Hello Aurelians and welcome to the video. Today we're diving into how to create custom template controllers in Aurelia 2 and we're going to do it step by step. So we'll begin with the basics, like what a template controller is and how it works. Then we'll build a custom permission controller that not only checks user roles but also displays a friendly access denied message when the user isn't allowed in. So let's get started. So what is a template controller? And it's probably the main reason you're watching this video. You probably have heard of them and you actually use them without even realizing it. So in Aurelia, a template controller is a class that influences how or if a section of your DOM is rendered. It's a custom attribute, but it essentially allows you to control how that particular custom attribute is rendered. Instead of throwing an if.bind or a show.bind everywhere, you can attach a single attribute to control, delay, or even replace content all in one spot. So those examples just sent, if.bind, is a really good example of a template controller. Repeat.for is another template controller. If you've used the portal attribute, that's also a template controller. So they're really just a way of controlling how content is rendered pretty much. And we are going to get into the nitty-gritty of this. We're going to do that by showing you how to build something. So you can use template controller with conventions or without conventions. So it's the same as you would other parts of Aurelia. So without conventions, there's a template controller decorator. And then with conventions, you append template controller on the end of your class and Aurelia sees it and goes, okay, yep, that's a template controller. I think the best example showing you how a template controller works is actually going in to our code editor here and building one. So I've got a Aurelia application that I've bootstrapped using npx makes. I have cleared out some stuff, as you can see, just to make it a little bit cleaner, but this is what you will get just running npx makes Aurelia. So for a real world scenario, let's say we want to hide certain content unless the user has a specific role, maybe admin or editor. But we don't just want to hide it. The user doesn't have access, so it will display a neat fallback message telling them they're not allowed. That's a step up from a simple if bind, but keep in mind what we are building here is essentially an if bind. So this is a really good example showing you how if bind would actually work behind the scenes. Obviously, if bind is probably built a little bit better than what I'm going to build here, but it's a really good example highlighting template controllers. So here's the plan. We're going to define a permission template controller with a user role and a required role. So two bindable properties that we're going to pass in. If the user role matches a required role, then we show the original content. Otherwise, we create a second view, an inline access denied component to inform the user they lack permission. So this is where Aurelia's iView factory, iRenderLocation, and custom element definition.create method come in handy. Now, if you haven't already seen the other video that's been published, there's a video on the channel and on the videos page on the website called Mastering Synthetic Views. Now, in that video, we go over many of these concepts, and a template controller actually is kind of very similar when working with synthetic views, as you're going to see if you've watched that video or if you're familiar with it. So we're going to create our permission template controller now. I'm just going to put permission.ts. So what we're going to do is create a class called permission. Simple enough. Now we're going to reference the template controller decorator from the Aurelia package, and we're going to call it permission. So this is obviously the non-conventions approach. Now the first thing we're going to do is add this magic property controller. So Aurelia actually adds this to our template controller as well as our components and stuff. It's a magic property. And basically it's the template controller. We need this for the synthetic view stuff. And once again, if you've seen the synthetic views video, you would understand what we're doing here. So we're going to create a view factory, and that's going to be resolve decorator from the Aurelia package, which we are going to have to include resolve, and then we're going to put iView factory. Nice and simple. We're also going to put in render location. This is going to tell our view factory where to render our views and content. So from the runtime HTML package again as well. Now we're also going to need the container. So we're going to inject that as well. Private container equals resolve, then iContainer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create two views. So the original view, so original view, and we'll call that private main view. That's a synthetic view, so iSynthetic view. And we're going to create a denied view, which is denied view, iSynthetic view. Okay, now lastly, what we're going to do here is we are going to add two bindable properties for our template controller. So the first one is user role, and our second is required role. Perfect. Now we're going to create a denied component to display our denied message. So we're going to add that as a static value because it'll make it easier to access, and that'll be custom element definition dot create. So this is an Aurelia class and method that allows you to create components programmatically. So we're going to put denied message. Now, if you've seen the synthetic views video, you'll know that the name does not matter. This is not going to be rendered as denied message component. It's like, it doesn't even matter. You can put anything you want in there. So now we're just going to create a simple div. And we'll do some inline styling for this. So we'll go style equals, we'll do a 2-pixel border, solid and red. We'll put some padding on there just to make it look a little nicer. And we'll also do some margin. And then we're going to make this strong access denied. Sorry, you do not have permission to see this content. Okay, now let's get to work inside of this component. So now we're going to set up some of our view stuff in here inside of the constructor, if we can spell it correctly. Firstly, we're going to do the main view, and that's going to be this view factory.create.setLocation, and then we're going to pass it the render location. Secondly, we're going to create a denied view. We're going to create a new view factory. You can see the first argument is the container, and the second is the custom element definition, which we know is permission.denied definition. Now we're going to store this inside of the denied view. So denied view factory.create.setLocation, this.render location. So we've got two views here now. We've set that all up. Now inside of the attaching lifestyle hook, we want to call a method called update views. We also want to call this method when the user role changes on our bindable. So once again, this.update views. We also want to change the view when required role changed, this.update views. And now we want to create a method that gets called when any of that stuff changes. So update views. Firstly, we want to make sure we're still active. So we're going to check the controller is active or not active in this case. And we're going to short circuit this by returning nothing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to check if the roles match. So user role equals this.required role, then hide denied view, show main view. So this.denied view.deactivate will obviously pass in the denied view and the controller to those. Now we're going to activate the main view. So we're going to do something similar. We're going to call activate this dot main view, this dot controller, and then we're going to get the scope. So this controller dot scope. Wonderful. Now we need to do the inverse and hide the main view, show denied view. So this dot main view dot deactivate this dot main view, and then we want to pass in the controller as well. Whoops. And then this dot denied view dot activate, and then similar thing, we want to go denied view, this dot controller dot scope. So we've got our logic in here that handles updating and whatnot in the views. Now the last thing that we need to do here is we just need to clean up. So detaching is the lifecycle hook that we want, and we're just going to clean the views up. So this deactivate, this dot main view, and then this dot controller. And we're going to duplicate that because I'm getting sick of typing. And this is denied view. So when this gets deactivated, it's going to clean up after itself. So before we run it, let's explain each part. So template controller decorator is pretty self-explanatory. That just tells it it's a decorator. The bindable properties are properties we can use to configure it. Main view and denied view. The main view holds the original content. The denied view is our fallback access denied. So custom element definition.create. This thing here is creating a component. It's an inline programmatically created component. When rendered, it becomes a self-contained access denied block. And then updated views method here, which powers everything. Based on the user's role, we activate, deactivate the main or fallback view. So the net effect here is that you don't have to spread if bind all over your code. One permission attribute does a trick, letting you decide to use this piece of real content, or a polite denial message. So we're actually going to use this now. With everything in place, we're going to use our permission template controller, and it's really straightforward. You just attach it to your HTML. So we're going to go into my app. I'm going to import that now. Now you'd probably globalize something like this inside of your main.ts, but for the sake of this, we're going to import it. So we're going to put permission equals user role.bind, user.role, required.role.bind, and then admin. Perfect. So now you're going to see VIP area. Welcome to the VIP area. You must be an admin to see this. So now we need to create a user object, so private user. And then initially the role is going to be generic. So let's run the app now, npm start, and we can see access denied. Sorry, do not have permission to see this content. And we can look in here and see that our permission template controller is working. There's no errors. Whew. Nothing worse than a demo where it doesn't work. So if we were to change this to admin, we can see VIP area. Welcome to the VIP area. So this is behind the scenes taking in these bindable properties, which are defined here, and then it's doing our checks inside of here. So you can see that it's synthetic views in a template controller, except it's a custom attribute as opposed to more programmatic approach. So you can see the advantage of this, and you can see why this powers a lot of inner Aurelia stuff, especially the repeat for, as I was saying, the if.bind, because effectively what we have built here is an if.bind template controller in a way. You could achieve this by using if.bind, but I think this is a little bit cleaner for this example, and it perfectly showcases template controllers and how simple they actually are. You know, a lot of this stuff in here is noise. If you don't have a custom attribute bindables in there, it's actually a lot more simplistic. And you can see if we were to strip out the denied view, it's actually really basic. So it's a really nifty way to control rendering in your app, and really clean and simple, just like a lot of stuff in it. So there you have it. That's our permission-based template controller, turbocharged with a fallback view that politely says you're not allowed in. So this is far more powerful, as I was saying, than a plain old if bind, because it reacts to those bindable properties. But if you were using this in your app, I'm sure there's probably some ideas ticking in your head about how you could use these elsewhere inside your Aurelia applications. But hopefully this is kind of giving you confidence to go in and start building your own template controllers, or reading through some of the core Aurelia ones and building your own. So I hope this tutorial helps you see how robust they can be and how easy they are. Go ahead and experiment. Maybe show a different fallback for different roles, or create localized messages. The sky's the limit, really. And if you create something really cool, feel free to share it with the community in the discourse forums, in the Discord. We'd love to see it. Or if you have something you think you could contribute to Aurelia itself, by all means, submit a pull request or an issue. And thank you very much for following along. So until next time, keep coding, and hopefully that's boosted your confidence with some of the lower level aspects of Aurelia. And as you can see, there's plenty more to come and plenty of other videos for you to learn things like this. So hopefully we'll see you in another one. Bye.